Hey, what's going on, role players? It's the Bard here and welcome back to the corner. Today's video is one that a lot of you have been asking for. It's the Paladin analysis, so let's delve into the basics of what it can do and the role playing opportunities it provides. A Paladin swears to uphold justice and righteousness, to stand with the good things of the world against the encroaching darkness, and to hunt the forces of evil wherever they lurk. That line comes straight out of the player's handbook, but already I feel that that's a little bit misleading. The way I see paladins is that they are creatures of devotion. I think if you're going to undertake the challenge of rolling a paladin, then you really need to read everything within the flavor text. And then when you get to your oaths, you need to understand them absolutely. I think the paladin class offers some of the most individually difficult role-playing challenges, but what you get for your efforts can be so rewarding, both in your character progression and in your role-playing experience. Both DMs and paladin players need to be a little bit flexible in their thinking. For example, a paladin with the Oath of Vengeance seeks to punish wrongdoers by any means necessary. Likewise, a paladin with the Oath of Conquest seeks law and order over everything else. Things like good and evil don't really factor into the equation. The point I'm trying to make here is that when you're playing a paladin, you don't necessarily have to play the virtuous knight. You don't need to be challenging people to duels. You don't need to be battling for honor. You don't need to protest every time the rogue goes for a sneak attack. In fact, if you can use deception, cunning, guile in order to get what you want, in order to fulfill the tenets of your faith, then you get that many more role-playing opportunities as well. There's a section in Xanathar's Guide to Everything which I think really explains what I'm trying to get at very well. It says, "It's important to keep in mind that most paladins aren't robots. They have doubts and prejudices and harbour contradictory thoughts just as any other character does." Additionally, if you use some of the tables that are presented in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, such as personal goals or temptations, it can add new layers of depth to your character's personality, stopping you from becoming a two-dimensional white knight character. The lawful good alignment restriction for paladins doesn't really exist anymore, but it's something that they used to have quite commonly in older editions of the game. Yet it's still a very difficult mindset to get out of. So what I'm going to suggest is that if you really want to play a paladin, I would suggest talking with your DM. Discuss between the two of you what it is your character is out to achieve and how stringent the DM wants to be when it comes to your oaths. Oaths can be a very difficult thing to adhere to. For example, the Oath of the Ancients has one called Preserve Your Own Light. It says, "Delight in song and laughter, in beauty and art. If you allow the light to die in your own heart, you can't preserve it in the world." Is that necessarily true? Maybe, maybe not. A character may find it difficult to adhere to those tenets when thrust into a world that's bleak and filled with hopelessness. Additionally, you may not feel those things within your character's personality, but you may feel that preserving them in everyone else is absolutely vital. If you were to follow the letter of the law according to what the oath says, you would technically fall. It's critical then that both you and your DM understand exactly what the oath means. How much of your character's personality are you allowed to explore while maintaining the tenets of your oath? And how much room, if any, do you have to make mistakes? Is a fall from grace something that happens for the most minor of transgressions? Or will you only fall as a result of continuous and possibly deliberate non-adherence to whatever tenets of faith you may have? I think once the two of you completely understand the character's motivations and what restrictions they may have from taking a particular oath, then it can really help to define the character as a personality, but probably more importantly is that it will help to prevent arguments at the gaming table. Having this dialogue with your DM allows them to present you with more challenges and more moral choices. Additionally, if you know what's expected of the character ahead of time, then when it comes to the topic of absolution and transgression, at least you know exactly what it is you're getting into before you start role-playing. So we've gone over a bit about what the Paladin is. Now it's time for an objective look at what the Paladin can do. Paladins come with 1d10 hit points per Paladin level, making them very survivable. They also have proficiency in all armors, shields, simple weapons and martial weapons, meaning they make excellent frontline characters. Something that concerns me though about sticking paladins on the front line is the fact that they get wisdom and charisma saving throw proficiencies. It makes perfect sense from a role-playing standpoint because of their absolute conviction and their force of personality. But if I'm going to be up close, I might prefer something like Constitution. So it's probably in your best interest to take Resilient as soon as possible. The Paladin skill list is a little bit of a mixed bag in my opinion. You've got Athletics, which is fairly good, Insight, which is an excellent skill, Intimidation, which makes a lot of sense from a role-playing perspective, but it's not one that I would probably want to take. Medicine is a skill that you probably won't get much use out of. Persuasion, on the other hand, is absolutely critical and should be taken at every opportunity. Religion is one of those mid-tier skills that occasionally comes in handy, but it's not something that you'll want all the time. As such, it's a bit of a mixed bag for the Paladin when it comes to skills. I think they're missing out on some important ones like Investigation and certainly Perception, but these are possibly things that you can pick up through your backgrounds anyway, so it might be possible to get hold of the skills you really want. Moving on to abilities then, and the first one the Paladin gets is Divine Sense. As an action, you know the location of any celestial, fiend or undead within 60 feet of you that's not behind total cover. In most situations you're going to know if you're dealing with a celestial, a fiend or an undead anyway. But it does have certain uses in that it can potentially pierce illusions and transmutations that change the creature's form or make it invisible in some way. So it's not completely superfluous. Additionally, you know if an object or place has been consecrated or desecrated by using the Hallow spell, which seems oddly specific. In fact, that's how I would describe this entire ability. Oddly specific. Of course, these are creatures that you're going to take an interest in anyway, but for the most part they probably won't appear with enough frequency for you to really make full use of this ability. You can use this ability a number of times equal to 1 plus your charisma modifier, and you regain all expended uses at the end of a long rest. From a player perspective, I really like Paladins. I like what they can do, and I like the fact that they are devoted and they have conviction. From a DM perspective, I absolutely can't stand them because they are practically destroying my games. One of the first abilities that really breaks any kind of campaign is Lay on Hands. So you gain a pool of healing at 5 times your Paladin level, which you can use as often as you like, providing you still have points left within the pool. Additionally, you can spend 5 HP to completely neutralize any disease or any poison. So another way to say it would be, essentially, if you're at maximum, then you get 1 poison or 1 disease heal per Paladin level. Some poisons can be really nasty, dropping your ability scores or even worse, and some diseases are absolutely terrifying to behold. But when you've got a Paladin, even at level 1, none of that matters. Because you're a frontline warrior, you gain a fighting style as well. It's a little bit of a tight group in my opinion, but they're still useful. Defense is probably my favourite. I just like the flat bonus to AC. Dueling's okay if you want to go one-handed, and great weapon fighting is fine if you want to go two-handed. But personally, I like to have a little bit of flexibility, and I like to just pick up any kind of weapon and use it whenever I feel like it. Protection is also alright, but it requires that you use a shield, and you need to use your reaction in order to use it, as you guys already know. Really, the fighting styles for the Paladin are mostly just there for decoration. They help you to define your character, but any bonus that you get is always going to be welcome. So pick the one that you like and just roll with it. Paladins also get access to spells. They're 1/2 casting progression, but that's to be expected from any hybrid character. You don't have access to an enormous amount of spell slots per day. You have your own spellcasting list, but the spells that are on it are actually really good. I mean, you've got all the various smites. You've got spells like Bless, you've got Divine Favor, which is one of my favorites, Aid, which is amazing, Aura, Vitality. You know, there's something good in every level. The thing is, you really want to be conservative with your spell slots, not only for spell casting, but they also fuel your Divine Smites as well. That being said, you know, apart from spells like Aura, Vitality, you might want to leave simple healing to the Cleric in the group. Speaking of Divine Smite, an extra 2d8 damage for a first level spell slot is absolutely huge, as well as the fact that for every spell slot above first you get an additional d8 on top of that as well. Additionally, Divine Smite requires no action on your part. You only need to hit with it and then you can activate it afterwards. This means you can combine it with things like the various smite spells that you already have, and the total damage is absolutely devastating. Single target encounters are an absolute cakewalk for Paladins because they can just use things like Wrathful Smite, Divine Smite, and whatever other bonuses they may have, and just deal incredible damage. Undead and Fiends take an additional d8 damage on top of that as well, and all of this can be activated after you've already confirmed your hit. Divine Health at level 3, absolute immunity to disease. Nothing special to really be said about it. A little bit specific, but it's a freebie, so I'll take it. Paladins can just go and clear out the gas spores. They can also just get up in the face of any creature that causes disease, like some aberrations for example. This makes those encounters a total breeze. At level 3 you get your Sacred Oath, which is essentially like your archetype. There are a lot of different bonuses that come with that, and we'll cover each one of those in the next video on the Paladin analysis. Ability score improvements come at levels 4, 8, 12, 16 and 19, which is a fairly even spread and fairly typical for most characters. Max out your charisma if possible. It's useful for your spellcasting, it's also useful for your channel divinities when you get them from your Sacred Oaths. And of course your Aura of Protection runs off your charisma as well, and that's absolutely huge. The extra attack is always welcome for any frontline character, but particularly for the Paladin because extra attacks mean extra smites. Aura of Protection is available to Paladins at level 6, and it's probably the second of the big three that caused me the most pain as a DM. Aura of Protection grants yourself and anyone around you within a 10-foot radius a bonus to saving throws of any kind equal to your charisma modifier. In the beginning that could be a bonus of say 3 or 4, but you're going to want to max out your charisma if possible as a Paladin, so realistically you're looking at about 5. A +5 bonus to all saving throws is absolutely game breaking in the sense that you can practically not fail a saving throw. Aura of Courage kicks in at level 10. You have complete immunity to all kinds of fear, and so does anyone within 10 feet of you. This extends to 30 feet when you hit level 18, just like Aura of Protection does, and it's absolute blanket immunity to fear of every kind. Now admittedly fear isn't the most common effect, but it's a fairly decent crowd controlling spell, and a lot of people do take it. As well as the fact that dragons also have things like a natural fear which they can produce. But do Paladins care? Of course they don't. They just stand there while everyone else is cowering and say, well, come at me then. Improved Divine Smite kicks in at level 11, a little bit of a misleading name in my opinion because it's not really a smite in and of itself, but it does give you extra damage on all of your attacks. This is an excellent ability if you can get something like haste cast on you, if you're some kind of pole-arm master, or if you're adopting some form of 2-weapon fighting. Anything that allows you as many extra attacks as you can get gives you more advantage when it comes to using your improved Divine Smite. And at level 14, the final ability the Paladin gets, the last of the big three as I would put it, Cleansing Touch. As an action, your touch essentially dispels any one spell on a friendly target or yourself. So you can pinpoint the exact spell that you want to get rid of. The target gets to keep all of their favourite buff spells, whilst you get rid of all of the debilitating spells that might be on them. Hold Person, gone. Confusion, gone. Slow, gone. It doesn't matter. You can pinpoint exactly the spell you want to get rid of, and there's no save, no ability check, no resistance. You just touch the character and the spell is over. And as if that wasn't enough, you can use this ability a number of times equal to your charisma modifier after every long rest, meaning that spellcasting encounters are an absolute steamroll. Well, that's part 1 of the Paladin analysis. Fear-proof, disease-proof, poison-curing, spell-jamming, damage-dealing super tanks. But before you go getting all excited about playing a Paladin, know that we've still got the Sacred Oaths to go over as well. We'll save the Sacred Oaths for part 2 of the Paladin analysis, but understand that we're going to go not only into the mechanics of it, but also a little bit of the philosophy behind them as well, so that you really understand the exact price that a Paladin pays for all those shiny abilities that they get. That's everything I wanted to say about Paladins today. If you liked this video, please leave a like. If you've got your own Paladin experiences, tell me in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel and you've not already subscribed, why not consider doing so? It really helps out the channel's growth. And if you'd like to be notified about anything else that comes out from this channel, click the notification bell as well. And with all that being said, I will see you guys next time at the gaming table.